Hi, dear friends. I think there is no one who hasn't heard of the term virtual reality. As you can remember from Matrix, perhaps we are living in a simulation or a virtual world. The term virtual reality, which also brings up questions like this with it, has started to take its place in many areas like gaming and education, and seems like it will provide us with many interesting experiences in the future. If you are ready, let's take a look at the topic of virtual reality and the thoughts it raises. Let's imagine waking up to a sweet, bright summer day. We go over to the window and look outside, and our view is filled with the colorful world we see. Now, let's see how this bright world finds its way into our head. Firstly, the visual information related to our world reaches our pupils as photons or light. Here the light breaks and falls onto our retina. Then the information on our retina takes a form that can travel through our nerves, which are electrical signals. These signals travel through the nerves into a place free of light and reach the part of the brain that is related to vision and stimulate it. Just at that moment, something very interesting happens. A great colorful world brightens up within us. Even though there isn't any light around our brain, our mind and soul are open up to a vast world. Physically, the part of this process that we can track and explain scientifically is the part till our brain, which is mostly made up of fat. But beyond this point, there is a bright and colorful world waiting. This world that shines into us, in other words, our inner self that encompasses humanly experiences like hearing, smelling, touching, compassion, fear, and love, is actually our spiritual world. Like I explained over our sense of sight, all these feelings and senses are produced by signals stimulating our brain and the reflection of that stimulation on our soul. Additionally, all these experiences are subjective, meaning they are unique to each person, to each their own soul. This concept, also known as qualia, raises the question: do these signals that we receive from the outer world affect every being in the same way? In other words, is the red you see and the red I see the same? When it comes to VR machines, let's imagine we picked a flower from its branch and smelled it. Just at this moment, let's say that instead of all these electrical signals that lead to visual, smell and touch related experiences come from the world, they are actually being generated by a machine and being sent to our brain. We will feel the same things as if it happens in the real world, but it will be virtual. This is the main principle virtual reality machines work upon. It seems like these machines that are in the phone virtual reality headsets, goggles and glasses nowadays will get more complex in the future. For example, we will probably be able to go on a wonderful vacation just by sitting in a chair somewhere connected to a machine. Of course, for this to happen, all the data related to all the things we will feel in this location will have to be gathered and sent to our brain in the form of electrical signals. Although it seems possible to build a demo of this machine, it looks like it is extremely hard for it to turn into a reactive system that changes through actions and reactions. Because humans' choices and how the world around them will react requires really complex programming. And at the same time, a huge amount of data should be kept available to us and to the choices we will make. For example, for a person who affects the world around them to see the chain consequences of their actions, there needs to be a huge amount of dynamic code and a lot of follow-up by the coders. Now, if we imagine more mindful beings join the system, there will need to be an intelligence smarter than all the beings in the system and an immense of data for the sustainability of it. Let's stop here and think about this question. If we compare our world with its countless inhabitants to a VR machine, wouldn't it need an incredible intelligence, knowledge, and control just to operate for even the smallest amount of time? Now, let's return to our main question, which is also known in the scientific world as the heart problem. How does the image of a cute puppy that is transferred to our brain turn into a feeling of compassion? How do material signals turn into the feelings and the sensation we experience? Dear friends, before we continue, I want to warn you about something. Our physical and spiritual worlds working in a harmonious parallel may lead us to the mistake of thinking they are the same thing. For example, adrenaline generates a sense of fear in humans, and sometimes the fact that the cause and the fact are seen at the same time may lead to the error of thinking these two things are the one and the same. However, there is a vast gap between a chemical hormone and the feeling of fear, which is actually known in the scientific world as the explanatory gap. The parallel relation between these worlds is not the hard part to explain. For example, the sciences of psychology and psychiatry explain this relation by experimenting on human emotions and feelings. Generally, these experiments show our experiences and how they reflect to our spiritual worlds. Now, let's call the gap between these two worlds a window and observe the universe through this window. Let's imagine a scenario most of us are familiar with from documentaries or actually seen in person. Think about a hungry bird sitting in her nest and over her eggs for weeks. After the eggs are hatched, the bird leaves the nest not to eat herself, but to find food for her chicks. After she returns to the nest, if there are any creatures trying to harm her chicks, she will risk herself to save and feed them. Now, what is this thing that turns this bird into a monument of compassion? Scientists pin this to a hormone like oxytocin stimulating the bird's brain. A signal acts like a switch in the formation of a beautiful feeling like mercy in the soul of a being. Like a room brightening up with just a press of a button. A hormone switches the feeling of mercy on in a tiny bird's heart. If we widen our view, we will see that this same feeling is present in the hearts of all living beings like lions, humans, and many more. If we widen our views even more, we will see that actually the whole universe is designed with this feeling in mind. This is a bit like the virtual reflection of a truth like mercy over the universe and all the beings in it. Dear friends, I want to conclude our journey here. Our universe, which presents us with truth like mercy, compassion, love, and knowledge, is like a great stage for us humans, who can reflect on all this truth to watch and enjoy. Of course, only for those who know how to watch it. And dear friends, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and share them with your loved ones. If you would like to support us on Patreon, you can click the link in the description or click the Patreon button on our YouTube homepage. Goodbye.